bronze metal hand from over 3,000 years ago to a strange Maya Batman representing a dangerous god, here are 10 amazing archaeological discoveries. Number 10. Metal hand and fingers. In September 2018, Swiss archaeologists announced the discovery of a 3,500-year-old metal hand made from over a pound of bronze. It's the earliest known metal representation of a human body part ever found in Europe. Treasure hunters originally discovered it using metal detectors in 2017 near Lake Biel in the western province of Bern, Switzerland. They got quite the surprise as they dug through the dirt and found some bones as well. That was a 3,500-year-old burial site. The metal detector hobbyists did the responsible thing and turned it into authorities, along with a nearby bronze dagger and rib bone. The piece is equipped with a socket that enabled it to be mounted on a pole or a stick, along with a gold foil cuff glued around the wrist. At first, archaeologists were skeptical. Andrea Scheyer, head of the Ancient History and Roman Archaeology Department at the Bern Archaeological Service, told National Geographic, "We weren't sure if it was authentic or not, or even what it was." Their suspicions were disproven after radiocarbon dating showed that the glue used to attach the gold foil dates back to between 1400 and 1500 BC, during the Bronze Age. Did you know that they had glue in the Bronze Age? The treasure hunters led experts back to where they made the magnificent discovery. There, archaeologists uncovered the badly damaged grave of a middle-aged man, containing more bones, a bronze hair tie, and gold foil fragments similar to those found on the artificial hand. Considering the rarity of metal objects in Bronze Age burials, as well as the scarcity of gold in such graves throughout Switzerland, the find is undoubtedly unique. Researchers are unsure exactly what the hand was used for or how it was used. Number 9. Pachacamac Idol. In 1533, Conquistador Hernando Pizarro ordered his followers to destroy a wooden idol called the Pachacamac Idol by breaking it in front of everyone, according to historical records. The Inca people worshipped the idol, which they housed in a temple near modern-day Lima, Peru. History tends to be written by the victor, and Pizarro's story was widely accepted as true, until relatively recently, that is. In 1938, an archaeologist discovered a carved wooden 7.6-foot-long idol at the Painted Temple site, where the Pachacamac idol was supposedly destroyed. For quite some time afterward, researchers didn't know whether or not it was the real thing. Some believed it was a forgery. A team of scientists led by archaeologist Marcela Sepúlveda of the University of Tarapacá in Chile recently decided to answer the age-old question revolving around the idol's authenticity. They carbon dated a portion of the wood and discovered that it dates back to around 800 AD, a time of the pre-Inca Wari people and about 700 years before Pizarro set foot on the soil of the so-called New World, during the height of the Incan Empire. The idol is not only genuine, but it somehow survived Pizarro's destructive commands. The researchers also put to rest another rumor from the conquistadors that the idol was stained red from the blood of human sacrifices. A non-invasive, non-destructive X-ray analysis shows that the Pachacamac idol was painted with a mercury mineral called cinnabar, along with other pigments, none of which contained blood. The moral of the story? You can't always believe what you hear or read. Sometimes you must allow the evidence to speak for itself. Number 8. Mysterious Scandinavian burial. In what's been morbidly nicknamed a death house, archaeologists in northern Poland recently uncovered a cabin-like burial site. What's strange is that it contains the remains of 4 Danish soldiers, dating back to sometime between the 10th and 14th centuries during the First Polish dynasty, known as the Piast dynasty. The team also found a treasure trove of weapons buried alongside the Scandinavian warriors, including decorative swords and spears, as well as horseback riding gear such as spurs, buckles, and stirrups, suggesting that they were skilled horse riders. Additionally, the 11.5 by 6.5 foot burial site contained animal remains, coins, pots, and metal trinkets. Based on their elaborate burials, the soldiers were likely members of the local elite, as well as members of elite horse riders and tax collectors. You know, the kind of clubs you wanted to be in 2,000 years ago. The burial site constitutes one of several mysterious graves uncovered in Poland in recent years. For example, last November, archaeologists in the southeastern part of the country found a 2,000-year-old warrior grave containing cremated remains, iron swords, javelin heads, and hundreds of bone, clay, and stone artifacts. In many cases, researchers are unsure what culture or community these strange burials represent. Vikings, perhaps? Number 7. The Lost City of Neapolis. In late 2017, archaeologists off the northeastern Tunisian coast discovered the lost Roman city of Neapolis, which was partially submerged by a catastrophic tsunami 1,700 years ago. The thing is, most people forgot about it. Neapolis was founded in the 5th century BC near the modern-day coastal town of Naboul. On July 21, 365 AD, a major earthquake of an estimated magnitude of 8.0 triggered a tsunami, which washed away a portion of the city. Researchers from the Tunisian National Heritage Institute and the University of Sassari in Italy had been searching for Neapolis since 2010, and they finally found it due to favorable weather conditions. Turns out it was there all along, just waiting to be discovered. The nearly 50-acre underwater ruin site contained streets, monuments, and over 100 vessels that were used for manufacturing a fermented fish condiment called garum, which was extremely popular at the time and likely a major component of the ancient city's economy. This discovery is especially useful because written references to Neapolis in Roman literature are scarce. The city changed hands several times throughout history and may have been neglected in the historical record due to its perceived lack of loyalty to Rome. Number 6. Mayan Batman. In recent years, an image of a Batman-like sculpture of supposedly ancient origins began circulating widely on social media. Then, last year, the picture was used in several online articles about a Mayan god, sparking a renewed interest of Mayan culture on the internet. The Mayans believed in a god named Camazotz, who bore a resemblance to the modern-day Batman, with the body of a human and a bat's head and ears. Also like Batman, he wore a mask that partially covered his face, except he existed around 2,500 years ago. Camazotz is described in the Maya Codices, a series of books and records written by the ancient society, which depict him as holding a sacrificial knife in one hand and a victim in the other. Camazotz were also the bat-like monsters that the Mayan twin heroes had to face in the Mayan underworld. They would attack victims by the neck and decapitate them. It is one of the 4 animal demons responsible for wiping out mankind during the age of the first sun. Bats are scary creatures in many cultures. Some of the species are very strange and large, and since they come out at night and there are species that suck blood, they are often associated with evil and death. Camazotz was most likely inspired by a giant vampire bat called Desmodus draculae, but it went extinct during the Pleistocene era. There are very few sculptures of the god Camazotz, leaving his appearance to the modern imagination. Many people mistakenly believed that the Mayans created this sculpture around 500 AD, but it was actually created in 2014 by the artist Christian Pacheco, owner of the Yucatan-based design firm Kimball. It's easy to see what led to the mix-up, however. The sculpture created in 2014 was quite possibly the first rendering of Camazotz in 5 centuries. And while the sculpture may not be a genuine historical artifact, there is authentic evidence pointing to this belief. Pacheco designed the piece for Warner Brothers Entertainment, which invited 30 artists to commemorate Batman's 75th anniversary with their own unique interpretations for an exhibit at the Mexican Museum of Design. He cleverly incorporated symbolism based on his knowledge of Camazotz and Maya culture into the sculpture. While some people may be disappointed that Pacheco's artwork is not a Mayan artifact, he demonstrated an impressive ability to combine ancient mythology with contemporary pop culture. Also, to the artist's credit, he helped to generate a resurrected interest in both Camazotz and Mayan culture in general. Number 5. Migration patterns. Scientists are still learning about the collective past of humankind and are increasingly challenging long-held theories, including one revolving around our early migration patterns out of Africa. In July of last year, archaeologists revealed new findings based on a 210,000-year-old human skull that was found in Eurasia during the 1970s. It's the oldest modern human bone ever discovered outside of Africa and suggests that we left the continent, or at least tried to leave, much earlier than originally thought. The skull was found inside a cave in southern Greece alongside a 170,000-year-old Neanderthal skull. Given the Neanderthal skull's age of being 40,000 years younger than the human skull, the discovery indicates that our first attempts to thrive outside of Africa were unsuccessful. The person the remains belonged to has no living descendants, and the human presence in the region was likely replaced by Neanderthals. Study leader Katarina Harvati, a paleoanthropology professor at the University of Tübingen in Germany, explained that we know from genetic evidence that all humans who are alive today outside of Africa can trace their ancestry to the major dispersal out of Africa that happened between 70,000 and 50,000 years before the present. There is other evidence of earlier human migrations out of Africa, none of which can be genetically tied to modern humans living outside the continent, suggesting that these previous attempts to disperse failed. Number 4. A Bronze Age megalopolis. Last October, archaeologists announced the discovery of a Bronze Age megalopolis in Israel that they are calling the New York City of its time period. The 5,000-year-old lost city, which is located about 35 miles north of Tel Aviv, once contained a bustling population of around 6,000 residents. It was likely one of the first complex cities in Israel and is among the largest ever discovered. Scientists found the city at an archaeological site called En Esur while excavating in preparation for the construction of a new road. It contains residential and public areas of sophisticated design, indicating that the city was highly organized and advanced for its time. At the site, archaeologists found millions of pottery fragments, flint tools, basalt stone vessels, and a large temple containing burned animal bones and figurines. The temple had a courtyard with a large stone vessel that likely contained liquids and was used for religious rituals. The impressively planned city was built at a time when people were just starting to urbanize in the region, and some of its contents, including tools, came from Egypt, suggesting that the administrative authorities responsible for building and organizing it had help from members of a more experienced urban society. There will still be a road running through the site, but the company in charge of building it has decided to place it above the ruins to ensure their preservation. Number 3. Looted gold. Back in 1981, a construction worker in downtown Mexico City discovered a 4.25-pound slab of gold 16 feet underground during excavations for a new building. For a long time, researchers were unsure how the gold got there, as the Aztec civilization had ruled an area further south. However, a recent fluorescent X-ray chemical analysis of the gold bar shows that the famous conquistador Hernán Cortés stole the gold in 1520 and then melted it down into bars for transport back to Europe. Cortés, who docked at Veracruz in April 1519, led the Spanish in a battle against the Aztecs following the Spaniards' assassination of their emperor Montezuma. The Spanish were forced to temporarily retreat from the battle, and of course Cortés looted some gold before departing. While retreating from the Aztecs, someone dropped the bar of gold into what was once a canal in the ancient city of Tenochtitlan, where it sat for the next 500 years. The new scientific evidence of the gold's age corroborates written records revolving around the battle and its aftermath. Number 2. Abandoned neighborhood. The Washington State Department of Transportation does a lot more than build and regulate roads, bridges, and tunnels. When the agency is considering or planning a new project, it tasks one of its several regional cultural specialists with researching prospective construction sites to see if they contain former settlements or are otherwise of historical significance. Recently, while working on the Alaskan Way Viaduct project, researchers excavated a historic settlement. The neighborhood, which was built on piers near Seattle's current waterfront, was inhabited from roughly 1890 until 1905, when it was abandoned, filled in with dirt, and converted into a rail yard. Artifacts at the site, including plates, cups, dishes, animal bones, and other discarded items, taught researchers quite a bit about what life was like during Seattle's early days, and that people freely tossed their garbage into the wharf. The discovery is especially helpful because the lives of the city's earliest settlers aren't well documented. At the time, Seattle's 42,000 residents included entrepreneurs, transient workers, saloon keepers, longshoremen, and chambermaids, but most of their stories were never written down. Cassie Manetas, WSDOT's Northwest Region Specialist, specializes in bones, and this knowledge helped her determine what types of meat cuts the neighborhood's residents ate, which further enabled her to pinpoint information about the area's socioeconomics. Discoveries like this are important for giving a voice to parts of history that might otherwise be forgotten. Number 1. Butchered woolly mammoth. A recent analysis of woolly mammoth remains discovered on Kotelny Island in Siberia shows the strongest known evidence of ancient people killing and butchering the species. Radiocarbon dating carried out by experts from the GK University School of Medicine in Tokyo put the animal slaughter at 21,000 years ago, a time when Siberia and North America were connected by the Bering Land Bridge. Traces on the mammoth's bones show evidence of cuts, spear strikes, and being hit with darts, and a computer scan revealed a broken spear tip in the creature's shoulder blade. Additional analysis showed that a stone tool was used to chop its tusks off. Dr. Albert Protopopov of the Yakutian branch of the Russian Academy of Sciences told the Siberian Times, "I believe no other mammoth previously found in the world had such clear signs of being hunted by humans." He further stated that ancient men cut all the meat, severed the mammoth's trunk, removed the brain, and pulled out bone marrow from all the limbs. Dr. Protopopov believes the animal's killers may have been a group of humans migrating from Siberia to North America. He says the discovery of the mammoth and further research will help experts better understand the migration patterns of people who traveled along that route. If his name sounds familiar, it is because he is responsible for analyzing many of the creatures that have recently been uncovered in the Siberian ice. If you haven't seen that video, be sure to check it out next.